checking in with all my liquids. One thing about me is I will be having a coffee, I will be having a tea. My heart is beating so fast from all the coffee I've had today, but I won't stop now. Look! Ah! Merry Christmas! I got the David's tea, cinnamon rooibos. My man David never fails to hook me up, you know what I mean? Okay, today we are talking about reading a book. That sounded so Canadian. Talking about reading slumps. I've had my fair share of reading slumps in the last few years. Mostly from school, you know, sometimes work is a lot, school is a lot. Everything is a lot these days, let's be honest. Sometimes you just can't find the time to read, or like when you finally have free time, the last thing you want to do is open up a book and start reading. So today I wanted to share with you a few tips and tricks I have used to get myself out of a reading slump, as well as books that have gotten me out of reading slumps. And I just want to preface this by saying that obviously my tastes are different than yours, and your tastes are different than mine, and everybody's tastes are different. That's what makes the world so beautiful. And so maybe these books won't do for you the same things that they've done for me. I'm going to give quite an in-depth description of all of them. You can come to terms with if you feel like they would help you the way that they helped me. Alright, so before I get into the first book, I just want to give a little bit of a trigger warning because this book does touch on themes of suicide. So if that is something that you don't think you're really comfortable talking about, then I would suggest just skipping past this part of the video. Alright, the first book on my list is The Midnight Library by Matthaig. So this book follows the story of a woman named Nora Seed, who is in a really dark time in her life. It feels as though she's failed everyone around her, and she hasn't followed any of her dreams. She's basically just been in one very long funk. There comes a night when she ends up almost passing away, and then she is transported to a library kind of in purgatory, where she has the chance to explore every life that she wished that she lived. I just want to say, if you are in need, or you are hurting, or you just feel like there's nothing that you're looking forward to in life, I really urge you to reach out to someone and to receive help. I will leave some phone numbers for hotlines in the description below in case you or anyone you know is going through a really hard time. But this book, I promise you, will open your eyes in ways that you didn't know were possible. It really helped me to be grateful for the life that I have now. I think as humans, we're constantly conditioned to be like, well, what if I did that? What if I did this? Why did this end up being like this and not that? Like, there are so many things that our brain does which catastrophizes our lives, which we don't need to do. And this book was an extreme comfort for me when I was in a time where I really felt lost and like I had wasted my life and I didn't make the right decisions that I was supposed to. This book really, I think, really encapsulates the idea of everything happens for a reason and you are exactly where you are meant to be. It is also a major page turner. Absolutely could not put this down, and it's not very big. Most of the books on this list are not big books because when you're in a reading slump, the last thing you want to do is pick up a book that is 900 pages. So for the most part, these books will be shorter, but I think that that's for the best. The second book on this list is the best book I have ever read, and that will be The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. This book follows the story of Adeline, a young girl in 1714 France, who makes a deal with a very mysterious stranger in a forest. Okay. The deal is to live forever, but be cursed with being forgotten by everyone she meets. And everything changes when one day, in present day, she meets a boy who remembers her. Bounces between present day, which was 2014, and the last 300 years of her life. The reason I love this book so much is because it really captures the essence of being isolated, feeling alienated by everywhere you go and everyone around you. Most importantly, demonstrates the importance and the immortality of art. It is the most beautiful book I have ever read in my entire life. There are 2 love interests in this book, and it's like so obvious which one author wants you to root for, but God, I'm not that girl. I'm not that girl. One thing about me, the one who sucks the most, I want him. This book, I literally could not put it down, which was so crazy because previous to this book, I literally was not reading anything and I could not be bothered to read anything. I was like, you know what, maybe reading just isn't my thing anymore. I was dead wrong. I was dead wrong. So please, please read this book. You will not regret it. It is beautiful. And especially if you are a lover of art and being creative and you're an artist yourself, I think you will absolutely adore this book. Little tea break. It's hot. Now this next one, some of y'all might be mad at me. I'm about to do it, and I'm about to recommend A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah.J.Maas. Allow me to explain, because I know that you have no idea what this is about and you've never heard of it before. A Court of Thorns and Roses follows 19-year-old Feyre, who makes a big oopsie and gets taken away to the land of the Fae. I'm literally blushing. I'm blushing talking about it. And falls in love with a High Lord. The reason that I am recommending this one, which is the very first one, is because you have to start here. And I promise you, once you read this series will be the one most likely to immediately get you to sprint to chapters to get the second book, and the third, and the fourth, and the fifth. The cult of ACOTAR needs as many followers as it can. We want you. Join today. Go to your local chapters and ruin your life for a few months. With this. You won't regret it. You won't. Unless you don't like fantasy, then I would just like to preface this by saying I am not responsible for paying for your therapy bills after finishing this series. Sarah.J.Maas, I'm sending you an invoice. It is filled with laughs, love, romance, some spice, and you will be thinking about it for the rest of your life and how nothing on earth will ever possibly compare to, well, I'm not going to give it away, but figure it out yourself. That's ACOTAR. The next book on this list, I do not have the physical copy with me right now. It's actually at my mom's house, but I had to mention it nonetheless because it is such an amazing read and very fast-paced. So if you're in a reading slump, this will be a page turner for ya. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book follows journalist Monique, who is summoned to write a biography about famous actress Evelyn Hugo and her life. The story is basically Monique listening in on Evelyn's stories. We discover the life of Evelyn Hugo as a famous actress in the 1950s, the stories of her come up as an actress, and all of the unexpected friendships and great loves she finds along the way. I knew that this book was popular at the time, but I hadn't watched any videos on it or really done any research on it. I kind of just picked it up at the bookstore. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. Once you start reading it, it goes in a direction which blows your mind. You fall so deeply in love with all of the characters in the story. You feel such a great sense of empathy for them that you literally will not be able to put this book down. It's filled with a lot of plot twists, one of which right at the end really throws you for a loop if you don't do any further research on it and you're just reading the book for the first time. I just love this mug. Literally can't stop staring at this mug. Taylor Jenkins Reid also has a lot of amazing books. My other favorite is Malibu Rising and The Return of Carrie Soto, which are both characters which you meet in Evelyn Hugo and Malibu Rising. The Taylor Jenkins Reid universe is just very beautiful. I love her writing style. I love her characters she creates. I think she is a fabulous author to get you out of a reading slump. And the very last book that I have in this list, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, is a very short book on a set of, well, 4 agreements to set you up for a happier and fulfilling life. I was actually recommended this book by an acting teacher of mine. I immediately went to the bookstore and picked it up, and when I got home, I read it all literally in, I think, an hour. It's literally like, how many pages is it? It's literally 160 pages. And it is genuinely one of those books, along with The Midnight Library, that I feel genuinely changed my life. The 4 agreements are: be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, and always do your best. And although those sound pretty generic, and it's like, well, yeah, I know that, he gives such an amazingly detailed explanation of every single one of them and how to apply it in everyday life. And genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, I haven't taken anything personally in months, which is so freeing. And I want more people to experience what I have experienced since reading this book, as well as the fact that it's very short, and just the feeling of reward you get from finishing a book, even if it's just short, I find always gets me to want to read more books. But I just want to finish off this video with giving you a few extra tips and tricks on how to ease yourself out of a reading slump. If you are someone who reads a lot and you know what you like and you know the genres that you like and the genres that you don't like, I would recommend using apps such as Likewise or Goodreads. Likewise is like a dating app for books where you put in your favorite books and then it will give you recommendations based off of your favorite books already. I've definitely had luck with Likewise. I also recommend using Goodreads. Going through the Goodreads awards categories and kind of clicking on fantasy, horror, whatever you're into, it will give you a list of all of the best books in this category for the year, voted by the readers. I go through these lists regularly to pick up new books, and it has always worked wonders for me. Also, get into audiobooks. I used to really not be into audiobooks, and I used to be like, oh, it's not really reading, is it? It is. It's reading. Using apps such as Audible or Scribd, Libby. I believe they have great deals, like you can get your first audiobook free when you start a subscription. My second tip would be read with a friend. A family member, a group of friends. Starting like a little friend book club always helps to keep you accountable for finishing books, to get new books. Helps give you that little extra nudge. My next tip would be to romanticize your reading space. By this I mean, clean up your area, light a candle, get a tea, put on some ambiance. I now am unable to read without having Fantasy Town ambiance in the background. Also, like, read depending on the seasons. If it's winter time, get some wintry cozy books. Fall, maybe some dark academia. Up some seasonal foliage. Seasonal foliage around your reading space to get you really into the story. And lastly, returning to an old favorite. Listen, how many times have I read this book? A few times. A few times. But if you know how much you love a book already, I would suggest rereading that book. Then it gets you back into the groove. Or you could also try reading something that is way out of your comfort zone and a genre that you've never really tried reading before. This could either be a great idea and pique your interest in something else, or it could make things worse. So it's totally up to you. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. I want to give a huge thank you to everyone who commented on my booktube newbie tag video. You're all so sweet, and I am already so excited to get started on this channel. If you have anything you want to see from me, please let me know, because I would love to get new ideas. And with that, I want to say thank you, happy reading. I hope you get out of your reading slump wherever you are. And just remember, don't put too much pressure on yourself.